Okay, here we go. We're live. What's going on, everybody? See that we already got some folks here. All right, gives a moment for a few more to pile in here. But those of you that don't already know, when you come to the replay, my name's Austin. Of course, this is Fintastic Freaks. Second week in a row, I don't have the shirt on here. Got the Murphy hat though, so we got something fish on it. That counts for something, right? Maria Z, I already see her tuning in while doing some water changes. My favorite thing to do on live streams as well is pull ups, listen to what people are up to, and absolutely clean the fishies' homes. Darlene's Tanks, welcome. Good to see you here. Mystery Snail Guardians, welcome. As you can see with the towel, today talking about how to, or at least giving my personal tips of how to take care of multiple aquariums. To those of you that don't know, or maybe still relatively new here, here in my fish room, I have 26 total aquariums, ranging from 7 gallons to the 240-gallon tank, which is right behind me. So obviously that's quite a range. We'll go a little bit more on like the capacity and what I think about that as well. But either way, when you have double-digit tanks, let alone when that first digit of the double digits is above a 1, obviously the workload can really mount up quickly. So I know some people that really get into fish, there's so many to choose from. So I'm sure a number of us here have multiple aquariums. So, what are some ways you get in put it together without, having to spend, half your day downstairs or wherever you have your fish room? I'll get to that just in a minute here, but I see we had a couple more folks here. Welcome 3G to the chat. Good to see you as well. Eduardo's here again. Welcome. Remember you from last week as well, and I believe in the first week. Good to see you guys all. So I guess the first thing I want to say before I even give any tips, obviously none of these tips should be taken to heart, of course, because obviously what may work for me may not necessarily work for others out there. There's so many variables in here. There's more variables in fish aquariums than there is algebra. But there's the city water with what it is right out of the spigot, unless you're doing salt water, which in that case, not a problem because don't use tap water for salt water usually. But obviously, just a whole bunch of variables. So just because it might work for me doesn't always necessarily mean it'll work for everybody else. So that said, I guess one of the main things that I always do to really maintain the tank is really it starts from the get-go. At least it does for me. Not the main thing I look at when I first start a new aquarium is, okay, do I want to spend more time on this, or do I maybe want to pay a little bit more money and, maybe up the filtration, or, maybe, instead of getting just fake plants in there, maybe get yourself some valsinaria or maybe even some top dwelling plants. I know some people really dislike duckweed. I got it in a couple of my tanks, and believe me, it takes over the top of your tank very fast. But, it's a good way to soak up those nitrates and make sure they don't become toxic to your fish. That's one way. Or, as I said earlier, you can definitely consider just getting a bigger filter. On a couple of my 40 breeders here, I got a couple hang on the back filters that are doing like 75 gallons each here. And when you put a filter on it that does over the tank capacity, obviously, it doesn't have to work as hard because it's built for bigger. If it's built for bigger, it's going to tackle that small tank with less trouble than what would if you have one built for that exact size tank. That, and you're not going to have to change the cartridges as much, so it can be cheaper in the long run too. Obviously, another one would be, in order of keeping the parameters in check, and overall, I think it just helps make a more natural environment for the fish. Consider live plants. Live plants, obviously, I touched up on top dwelling plants there real quick, like duckweed. If you also do like a pond, there's like water lettuce. There's all sorts of, you can do like lilies and such. or lilies and lily pads or whatever. There's all sorts of options out there. But one of the main ones that I really like to do is one of my favorite plants is like hornwort. Guppy grass is another good one because you can put it towards the bottom of the tank, or you can just let it float and it can still soak up nitrates very well. See, we just got another joint. My Fish Tank Aquatics, welcome. Good to see you as well. Always nice to see all sorts of fish folk here. But with live plants, I mean, the live plants, the cool thing about them is not only can they look good when they're taken care of, they help you keep that tank clean and those parameters right where you need them. I mean, that's why here, all sorts of jungle valve, probably one of my favorite plants anyway. I mean, they keep the substrate clean, they can keep the water itself clean, or at the very least, help out with it. And live plants, in terms of maintaining multiple tanks, is a way how not only can help your tanks, look good and make them look more natural. It's also a great way to, add a little extra biological filtration, some eco-friendly filtration, we'll call it. And of course, another one that I would really recommend is on the filter topic earlier. Definitely consider having more than one type of filtration. So, I mean, obviously I talked about the hang on the back filters and maybe getting a bigger one, and that's still a good idea. But something else you could also do, maybe with a hang on the back filter, maybe throw an internal canister in there, or maybe even consider throwing in a sponge filter as well. I know some people really don't like sponge filters because I get it. They don't look good in the tank, but in terms of biological filtration and such, and even like if you have a power surge, sponge filters can be your best friend. And that's why all my 26 tanks down here has at least a sponge filter in it. I mean, I think I'm trying to think of any tanks that may not have both the hang on the back and the sponge filter, but I think actually both of them. No, wait, one of my 20 longs is just a sponge, but I mean, biofiltration is one of the best things, and especially, if your power ever goes out, which here in Iowa, considering we get storms in the spring and fall and all that, and then freezing winters that can create a lot of ice, good to have that in mind when you're worried about getting power surges. Or you can just get a power generator, not have to worry about it at all. Let's see. I know that's a number of things. If y'all got tips yourself, though, of course, feel free to drop them in the comments as well here. Hopefully everyone's having a good day here after Halloween weekend. And maybe that's another thing. Hey, what did you guys do for Halloween? Anybody dress up as costumes and such? Anybody or just do anything, I guess, really for Halloween? In terms of Halloween, my wife and I, obviously, we went around. We're both, I wouldn't call us Halloween nerds, but we enjoy it. We like to go to like little bars and place. There's bars and grills where they have like those, friendly little costume contests. She was a bat, and if you follow Rico Stan and Chattanooga Ed streams where they ever talked about the comic book characters, perhaps you'll know who I talk about when I say I dressed up as Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man, of course. I'll have to maybe see if I can find a good photo from our outings on Halloween, and I can post it in the community here on YouTube to anyone that might be interested on that. Bucky Douglas, welcome. See, we got Eduardo here again. Water changes for large tanks, do individually. Smaller tanks are done twice a week, 20% and 40%. All tanks have sponge filters, and on the back filters, all tanks have plants. I mean, that's a good way to go with it, honestly, is have a whole bunch of different ways of filtration. I mean, so the main three, those of you that may not know, I hit my hand on the lid. That kind of hurt. I got my catfish pond close by me here, and sometimes I bump into it a little bit, but it's not going to go anywhere. It's over 100 gallons, though, thankfully. But Yeah, obviously, like I say, plants are just a natural filter. They soak up those nitrates and such, help those keep those in check because it's part of their normal food source. So, I mean, having plants in a tank is a awesome way to help you maintain aquariums, especially when you have met multiple of them, because then it can also, it might only do, X amount of help, but that X amount of help might save you from maybe having to do a water change from, possibly twice a week, depending on how big your tank is, of course, to, maybe push that another day or so. I see Master Aquatics Eduardo also has duckweed as well. I got it in. I'd have to go around my fish room and count the tanks I have it all in, but I mean, grows like wildfire, and I mean, yeah, it's super easy to keep. I mean, it is stupid simple to keep. Just basically put it in there and just watch it burst. Bucky, yeah, that's one downside with puffers, and I have had that same problem myself as well, Bucky. My Fahaka Finley does that, or did that with the Amazon swords I once upon a time had in her tank, and I don't like my tanks always looking bare, but I always look at it as like the fact that she keeps uprooting them is probably a sign that, well, that's what she wants. My Fahaka just that and well, I guess the jungle valves she doesn't uproot, but she likes to chomp on them a lot. I sometimes wonder if maybe that's like where snails go and all that. I do have a little bit of snail. Well, I don't want to say infestation because that makes it sound like they're invaders, but there's a good number of snails in there, and they breed frequently in that tank, which is good. Help her keep those teeth ground down. But I don't know. Maybe that's why, because she never lets that jungle valve grow very tall. Oh, you also got a Fahaka. All right. Yeah, maybe it's just Fahakas, because I mean, I got plants in my spotted Congo puffer tank, and yeah, there's no problem there. Color Guppies is with us here. Welcome. Welcome aboard, indeed. Let's see, Bucky again. Anything with stem on it? Yeah, see, stem plants are another one. I've also read that sometimes puffers just like to chomp on the plants because they like the feeling of their teeth just going through the plant. Maybe that's just a crazy little myth, but I don't know. I can get behind it. Sometimes it's a little satisfying. Like if you ever have like if I go like to a steakhouse or something, I love getting a Caesar salad or something. Sometimes just feeling your teeth go through the lettuce leaves, it's oddly satisfying. So maybe that's why puffers like to bite through the plants. Same reason, just a satisfying feeling, I guess. Geek Boy has joined the stream. Welcome, Geek Boy. Glad to have you. Yellowstone Aquatics is back with us again this week. Welcome, Yellowstone. I was talking about filtration earlier. Trying to remember exactly where I was on this earlier. I guess another good idea that I would also have. Oh, now I remember. Yes, multiple sources of filtration. Main three really you get is. I guess the main three is chemical, biological, and mechanical. Those hang on the backs usually do pretty good at giving you a lot of mechanical filtration, which is good. It's probably one of them that I like. The second, well, it's right up there with biological. And then chemical, that can also go with plants sometimes too, along with biological. But that's why I always say have multiple sources in there, because if one goes bad, you got backup. If you have so if your hang on the back filter ever for whatever reason stops working, but if you have a sponge filter in there, still got something to help keep that water of yours in check. And that's another thing. Like I talked about getting a bigger hang on the back filter. So like, say you get a 55-gallon tank and gonna make a nice little community tank out of it. Yeah, you could go buy that hang on the back filter that does about 60 gallons. It'll do the job. Or you could go and make that step up to, what is it now with Marine Land? I guess that's one of them I get anyway. Marineland in their, I think it's the 350 now is the second biggest. That one does like 75 gallons or so. Put that on the 55, compared that to the, that other one that may only do about 50 to 60 gallons. And, that's just that much more biofiltration, that much more mechanical filtration, helping keep that tank looking nice. And then if you throw a sponge filter in there and, get like a 40, 60 gallon grade sponge filter to go with that hang on the back filter, you're doing the tank almost 2-3 times over. And then who knows, you may only have to do a water change, maybe not even once a week. Maybe it's once every week and a half or 2 weeks. Because, like this 240 back here yet, it's been going for, well, I guess the 240 has more than just hang on the back. So maybe that's a bad example. Trying to think of a good, like my 50-gallon Pentagon that I showed you guys yesterday with the Arrowhead puffer. I got a 60-gallon grade sponge filter in there in a 50-gallon tank. So, that by itself, would be great. But go ahead and throw on a CHM, I believe it's a Tidal 75 is what it is. Throw that on there with it. We're easily doing twice the filtration necessary overall than what, you typically need. But that's one way how I would also say, if you want to make it easier on yourself when you have multiple tanks, especially once you start getting close or into the double digits, definitely another thing to consider. Let's see here. Missed a couple things there. Went on another ramble there. Color guppies, it's like a poppet or a fidget toy for puffer. Yeah. like plants, I think. I presume that's what you were talking about. Yeah, like I say, I guess my red eye puffers too will leave most plants alone. I've put some Java moss and some guppy grass with them. Unfortunately, I've had a lot of algae in there. I'm trying to battle that a lot lately, which is another thing. You gotta watch that down. Unfortunately, I only have 2 of the 26 tanks where I'm really having to fight some algae, but could be a lot worse, I guess. But maybe that's just the case. Some just like to, chomp on those plants. My figure 8s apparently in their new brackish tank have been chomping on the Anubias plants and such that I put in there for them, which, had to acclimate them to the saltier conditions and such. So they're already trying to adjust as is. I'm sure the plants themselves are loving the fact that they're getting chomped on in the process as well. But you know what? If it helps them live happier in the tank, I guess do as they please. As I said earlier, if y'all got tips to share here, we're all in this together, fish fans. So feel free to share your tips as well here. What's another good? Well, I guess if you get to the big tanks here, like I'm talking, like once you, for sure, probably by the time you get to the 3-digit in terms of gallons here, I'm not very good at converting gallons to liters or vice versa. So if that's how you do it, I apologize if I'm making you do some math. But like the 240 here, obviously, we got a big 2 sponge filters here. I know that one over there that I got behind wood. That's a 120-gallon grade. This one over here is a 250-gallon grade. And then on top of that, we got the FX6 canister down there, which honestly, if you get like anything like 125 gallons or above, if you want something that's going to keep your tank looking awesome for a long, long time, and I know it's expensive, an FX6 or even an FX4 would be awesome. But if you can afford either or, definitely go with the FX6. Gives you a little more power, a little more time and all that. I have it both on the 240 here, and I have another FX6 on Finley's tank over there, the 150, and no complaints about either one of them. They are king when it comes to the canister filters, or really filters in general. Let's see. I apologize if I have a little bit of a sniffle. It's been It's been kind of chilly out here and really cloudy and kind of rainy over the last week and a half here in western Iowa. So I apologize if I get a little bit of a sniffle here. I'll try to keep that to a minimum here. I bought a filter with a UV light in it. Kills a lot of algae. That actually might not be a bad idea. Might have to consider that, because most of my lights that have like that blue light option to it, or even like I've learned that too. Sometimes even the blue lights will take care of that. Ray Aquatics is here. Welcome, Ray. Again, I apologize if I mispronounce any names. Manoski Tanks here is with us as well. Welcome. Glad to have you. And S has just joined it. Yo, he says. Welcome, S. Or I forget. I know. I feel like I've asked that before, but excuse me. Jamocha Shake, ladies and gentlemen, from Arby's. Drink of choice. Any Arby's fans out here? I love Arby's. Just because of the Jamocha Shakes. Jamocha Shakes are awesome. Don't get me wrong, I'm always down for a Dr. Pepper otherwise. But otherwise, if I'm feeling a little bit of a sweet tooth, Jamocha Shake. Every time. But yeah, Bucky, I might have to think about a UV light then for a couple of my tanks, because the pea puffer tank and my red eye puffer tank, of course it'd be the two puffer tanks, or two of my puffer tanks. But might have to think about that, because yeah, the algae, I've gone in, I put some algae killers in there, and you got to be careful with what algae killers you put in there, because obviously with puffers being a scaleless fish, you don't want to put anything in there too crazy or heavily, because then that could get them sick, and then you run into other issues, and certainly don't want to add any further unnecessary complications. But color guppies, love Arby's Market Fresh sandwiches. Yeah, I mean, I can name like 3 things there that I like, that I could get there easily. I mean, food-wise even, not just Jamocha Shake. But it also helps when your wife is managing a store here in the Omaha area. It makes it a lot more accessible. Oh, thinking about some other tips here as well. Atkins Nature Aquariums, welcome. I don't know if I saw you earlier in the chat here or not. UV works best for free-floating algae like green water algae. Yeah, I don't have the green water algae. It's mostly the algae that likes to build up on like driftwood or even my substrate a bit. So just like, it's like a very dark green, like it's almost black. I've wondered if it's like just a blackbeard algae or whatever. I think that's what they call it. But yeah, it like grows on the substrate and such. And it's I fought it now, I think now for about a few months, and probably more than that even. And it just keeps coming back with a vengeance. Arby's in Tennessee quit serving the tater cakes. They aren't serving them here in Iowa anymore either, Bucky. Unfortunately, I think that was a corporate decision that they just stopped them altogether here. And I know there's a lot of people, including my wife, who manages a store, that's not a fan of it, because yeah, she loved those potato cakes. I just thought they were like a glorified hash brown, like what they were at McDonald's, only way less greasy, thus better. But I mean, I like McDonald's breakfast, don't get me wrong, but their hash browns, I rarely ever finish them. Otherwise, it makes me sick. Too greasy. Maybe my stomach's just weak. I don't know. Atkins Aquarium, I noticed that a lot in my puffer tanks. Maybe it's because they eat all the snails and other stuff. Yeah, I've also wondered that sometimes maybe it goes on the substrate and all that too, because of their high protein and such, and maybe it just gets caught up in the substrate. Maybe that's part of it, but I really don't have that happen in my Fahaka's tank or the Spotted Congo tank, or I mean, I guess it's salt. There's a salinity to it, so maybe that's why it doesn't happen in the Figure 8 tank. but um, even when I had the figure 8 puffers in a freshwater environment, I didn't have a problem with it there, nor with my green spotted puffers or any of my other puffers. It's just the red eye puffers and the pea puffer tank that just keep getting all that algae, and every time I think I've finally beaten it, it finds a way to creep right back. Let's see. Bucky. Yeah. Like I said, potato cakes, I miss them. They were good. Definitely beat the heck out of McDonald's hash browns, which I know with some people might be fighting words, but yeah, that was my favorite, one of my favorites anyway. Although my go-to there is probably either the French dip or I like the beef and cheddar. Or at least that's what I like. I just tried their boneless wings though today, and those aren't bad. Not going to say they're my favorite, but in terms of all places where I can get wings, but they're not bad at all. 20 people watching, 9 likes. Thank you everybody for those of y'all that have tuned in here. Before you head here, or as you're listening, feel free to hit that like button. It helps out a lot, and it's greatly appreciated, each and every one of you. If you're new as well, would love to have you sub to the channel as well and stay in the loop with everything I do. I know it's been about a week now since I posted my new video. I'll talk about that here in a second. I see we got a couple of other guys join here. Freaky Fish Lady, how's it going? Fish Freaks. I've actually had that nickname plenty of times before. Atkins Nature Aquariums. Could be because they're communal puffers. You keep them in a group, so that could lean to more waste. Possibly. I guess. Yeah, I mean, that would make sense because by the time you include their food and the waste they put in the tank, yeah, that makes sense. That could be too. Maybe I just need to consider upgrading their tank so, more water to maybe help balance that out. But, I mean, even there with my Amazon puffer tank, I don't have I guess I get algae on the glass there, but not the substrate so much. But I don't know. But that's another reason why you get plants, though. Sometimes plants can also help you keep that algae in check. But I don't know. Those 2 tanks, I tried a lot of things and got the same result on a lot of them. Bucky, new French fries at Arby's are pretty good. Yeah, I tried the crinkle fries recently. They're not bad. I mean, whenever I go to Arby's, I always still got to get the curly fries because, I mean, I feel like if you go to Arby's, that's part of the reason. If you go to Arby's and don't get the curly fries, I mean, what are you doing? I don't know. That's me anyway. Whew, I'll never get tired of these drinks. I know some of y'all who follow me for those of you that follow me for the puffer stuff, you'll like what I'm about to. Yeah, I'm actually working on a couple of puffer videos here. One of them should be out here in the next few days or so. Here, I'm working on. Ran into a little bit of a roadblock though. One of my spotted Congo puffers. Apparently, my 2 spotted Congos were fighting recently because my male spotted Congo about 3-4 days ago was looking very worse for wear. He was. They must have fought at some point while I was away and probably at work or something. My day job keeps me out of the house a lot in the afternoon and even the evening and sometimes into the later hours of the night. But apparently they must have fought at some point while I was away because his almost whole back tail fin was about gone, which is obviously not a good thing to see. Which brings me probably to the next point of a successful fish room, and this is something that I personally probably really need to work on having myself, is always have a medical or hospital tank. I know it can be very hard if you have an empty tank to, not try to put something in it, because I have run into that problem with myself a lot too, is, you see that empty 20-gallon or whatever, and you're like, ooh, I know something that could go in there. But plain and simple, you got to have a tank that, because sometimes fish are going to fight. And I've probably lost a number of fish just because of not having an adequate medicine tank because I keep putting stuff in them. And that is definitely something that I, especially as of late, have been really harping myself about, saying, this needs to get better. I need to get a consistent hospital tank for fish for when, things like this happen. But including now for my spotted Congo puffer, who we're trying to get back up to health here, which fortunately I got to be honest, I wasn't sure if he was going to make it, honestly, because he was having trouble swimming for a while. He wasn't even swimming very well for a while. Didn't even want to eat when I first took him out. I mean, he was stressed. I was worried that he wasn't even going to last another 24 hours. But, knock on wood, he's been improving. I wouldn't say we're out of the woods yet, but he's just been putting a lot of stress coat in there. Gave a little bit of aquarium salt is what I also like to do, and a little bit of prime to kind of help soothe any stress in the water as well. And then after you move him to the hospital tank, gave him another stretch coat about 24 hours after the move. Just make sure he hopefully keeps improving. And so far, so good. See, while I was talking there, I know we got a couple there. Eduardo, I've noticed that the tanks with floating plants get almost no algae. Duckweed tanks have no algae at all. Shrimp tanks also have no. Yeah, shrimp also like to eat the algae, which, I mean, I would love to put shrimp in my tanks here, but obviously my puffers and all the tanks that I have algae in, unfortunately, probably would not let those shrimp live too long, unfortunately. I have actually thought about it. I mean, I would love to try to put some in there if I knew that they'd be left alone. But even my pea puffers, I mean, I've just tried, experimenting with ghost shrimp even. And my pea puffers will even take them down, which is just kind of baffles me. Those little pea puffers, they don't understand that they're only an inch big. They act like they're a much bigger fish. They have big attitudes. Little fish with a big attitude. Kind of not going to kid myself, though. That's partially why I love them, as well as probably a big reason why I love other people love those pea puffers. Oh, I know we saw another one. Freaky Fish Lady, I just use my hospital tank to start plants. I mean, that's actually a good idea, too. I mean, again, make sure you keep that and nitrates in check, and that's exactly what that'll do. I did that once upon a time, but that used to be my I'm trying to think of what tank it was. I think it was my 20-gallon tall, actually, where I had that in. It was like right as I started my channel. I've had it for a while. And I mean, yeah, if you have plants in there too, it'll give a fish a place to hide. And sometimes that can give them that extra sense of security, help out with that stress and such. So, I mean, yeah, that's actually not a bad idea all there. Atkins Nature Aquariums. What do you think are good tank mates for Amazon puffers? I have 5 and a 29, although I'm open to keeping them alone too. Well, I guess first and foremost, my first recommendation, a 29 is a good grow out for Amazon puffer tank. But I would also recommend that only because you have 5 of them, and I know how much those little guys love to explore, maybe consider at some point upgrading to like a 55 or something. A 75 even would be beautiful for them. But I guess I also don't know how big they are right now. But 29 can work for a while. I got 3 and a 38 right now. But I personally, if you put anything with Amazon puffers, to get to your actual question here, I guess, I would stick to faster swimming fish, or what I would even do before you even get anything like a tetra or anything. I would start by just putting like some feeder minnows or feeder guppies in there with them and just see how they behave with them. Because if they try to chase around those, little feeder guppies or feeder minnows, which I will also say make sure you get those from a trusted source. Don't just get them. If you see a whole bunch lying dead in a tank, I mean, you're going to see a couple there probably, but make sure that it's from a place you trust and that a place is that you trust their water, you trust their service, the whole 9 yards, all that. But put them in maybe with the Amazons, get an idea of what the puffer's temperament is like, and if they go after those, then that might be a red flag. But if it works, I wouldn't want to do anything too small, because then if it is smaller than the puffer, then it might heighten the likelihood of them being seen as maybe a food source. But maybe like a bigger tetra, stay away from exodons, of course. But I would say maybe like a bigger one, like an emperor, or maybe a Buenos Aires, just as a couple options there might potentially work. You want something that can still swim fast. You don't want any slow swimming fish, because in case the puffers do get a little aggressive, and you might want them to be able to have the speed to get away, and maybe some hiding places for them as well. But that might be something to potentially think about. I would say like tetras, or even once they get bigger, maybe even rainbows could work. Like I said, that might be, again, you probably would have to upgrade if you did rainbows out of the 29 to like a 55 or a 75, like I said earlier. But I mean, if you did that upgrade, rainbows could really work well with them potentially. But like I say, I would put feeder guppies or maybe like a minnow of some sort with them. So that way, if they do attack them and kill them, and it didn't really cost you a whole lot. That's what I would do anyway. That was a lot of information. I keep my hospital tank dry. Much easier to not populate it that way. Yeah, I mean, that's another way to do it. I guess I always keep it. I always try to keep my hospital tanks full, or what I use as temporary hospital tanks, I guess, as full of water, only because you just never know. But I mean, as big of tanks as I guess I have down here, I could probably just put it into a 20-gallon tank, just take 20 out of the 240, and that's almost like a minor water change for them, if even that. And boom, you filled up the 20. Or at least that's one way how I do it. I know obviously not everybody's going to have that luxury, but might be something I guess to consider. That's not a bad idea, Geek Boy. I might have to try, maybe give that a shot. Definitely keeps you can't put fish in a tank. There's no water in it, so not a bad way to go about it. Eduardo, yes, quarantine tank is essential. Absolutely. It's something, like I say, I need to work on it. But many have turned out to be additional tanks. We try. Yep, you sound exactly like me. I know that it's so important to try to have, you really want to try to have that tank just in case something happens. But like my 29-gallon aquarium was just recently open, and I was thinking about this would be great if like any of my puffers, minus Finley, who's over a foot big, or some of my bigger puffers, then maybe the 29 wouldn't work. But almost everything else down here, well, minus the knife fish or any of the big monstrous size fish, I mean, if it's not anything big like that, it almost would work for everything else down here. But of course, I put something in that tank now. I do have a 10-gallon and a 20-gallon now that's totally vacant that I'm using as a hospital tank. My one spotted Congo is currently in the 10, which I'm not going to keep him there for very long because, well, that's just not enough space for him. Probably going to move him to the 20 here before this night's over. But the 20, alas, was not doing the parameters weren't quite where I wanted it. And as stressed as he was, didn't want to have him try to fight through parameters when he's already stressed and trying to recover from injuries. And he didn't feel like swimming a lot anyway. He kind of just sat on the substrate most of the time. Now let's see. Atkins Nature Aquariums have a tub of mutt guppies. I'll pick some ones out and see how it goes. That's a great idea, actually. I mean, yeah, if you got that too and you breed a lot of guppies. That's another way. I mean, yeah, that's the one thing with puffers. With all my puffers anyway, I don't have. Well, I guess I have some fish and some crayfish in with my arrowhead puffer that you saw earlier. Just because, well, if he eats it, oh well. But that's the point, honestly. But the smaller fish, sometimes if you get a bigger puffer, like a arrowhead or mine, that's about 4 or 5 inches, and you get like a little guppy in there that's like maybe an inch and a half big, then they may not even consider it worth their time, and they'll just leave them alone unless they, go right in front of their face, which in that case, like, well, you asked for it. But yeah, I guess that's another thing. But yeah, let me know how that works. Hopefully it works out for you. I know Amazon puffers are one of the very few puffers that you can at least think about it. So hope it works out for you there, Atkins. How big is that tank, Freaky? Actually, I must have missed something earlier. Oh, murder beans. I presume you're talking about pea puffers, Freaky Fish Lady? Yeah, 20 is a great deal for that mic. Is it a... Oh, yep, there it is. 20 long. Oh, yes. That's beautiful for pea puffer tank. I mean, so much space for them. I've been actually thinking about maybe getting rid of some of the smaller tanks down here in my fish room, like a couple of the 10s or something, just because, I mean, here's the other thing about aquariums. So, I mean, it's very commonly misconstrued by some folks that, bigger tanks are harder to maintain. And in some ways, you know what, they are. But, I mean, they require more water, and they're more expensive to run because you need bigger equipment that can filter more gallons and such. But really in terms of keeping the parameters where you want them, as long as you don't try to cheat your way through it and go super cheap on it all the time, then, yeah, I mean, this is where I'll say get the extra filtration, and especially on a big tank, if you get like what I have and you get like enough biofiltration, mechanical and chemical filtration, all can join together, working against each other to keep the tank clean, then yeah, sometimes like my 150 with filtering that tank out almost 2.5 times over, I almost, even with it being a puffer tank, I almost don't have to touch the water until about once every 2.5 weeks. And I know some people would still say you should do something with it every week. Yeah. Anyway, but I mean, that's the next thing when you give a whole bunch of extra filtration and such. And with the bigger tanks, because I mean, the thing with bigger tanks is, I guess, perceive it this way. If you have a small tank, like let's say you got a 55-gallon tank, or, well, I guess some people may not go much bigger. Say you got a 20-gallon tank. We'll start smaller. You got a 20-gallon tank and say about, 10 gallons in there worth of the water get contaminated because you had a sand substrate and a little ammonia pocket bursts in there. I mean, 10 gallons, that's half your water. And you're going to be scrambling probably for the prime. You're probably going to be looking to do a quick water change to dilute that. And it's just going to be a scramble. Now, granted, if you get the same scenario and like with a 75-gallon tank and, you have like a little pocket of stuff just in the water and it contaminates 10 gallons there, then, hey, is it still going to maybe do a little something to your water? Yeah, and you're still going to want to do something with it. But at the same time, that's another thing. If you're starting with this, I would recommend, once you get up to the 40 gallons and bigger, it's something that you can really think about is the more water you have in the tank, the more it helps maintain itself. Never going to get you out of a water change, of course. Nothing in this, no trick or cheat code is going to help you get out of that entirely. But a little food for thought, if what I said there makes any sense. I know I ramble. So, IHSP, I've seen you in here for a while. I don't know if I ever gave you a shout or saying hello to you. Welcome. Glad to have you here. I believe I saw you on Rico Stan's stream here earlier today, actually. Speaking of which, there's the old bear fan himself. Can't chat, watching Wedding Crashers with Michelle, and saying hit that like. Hey, I appreciate you, Rico. That's another guy. I think he's like 920 subs right now, guys. Rico Stand is like 80 or maybe not even just 80 subscribers away. I know I said it last week. I'll say it again. Let's get that man to 1K, y'all. Got to get that man so he can start getting a little extra money in his pocket. See, so you were there, Tank Tribe. Okay, I thought I saw you there. Freaky Fishly, I got a set of 2 beautiful guppy antlers from LRB at Aquashella yesterday. Ooh. I'll be honest with you guys, I've never been to an Aquashella yet. It's definitely on my bucket list. I was really hoping to make one this year, but obviously my wife and myself are both relatively new to our jobs. I just finally hit 1 year with my new job just last weekend, actually. Not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before this past Saturday. I hit the week mark, or not the week, year mark. Don't know why I forgot that term already. With my job. And then my wife now, who, as I told you earlier, I told you what she does. She actually just got her own store to manage just today. Today was her first day working at her new store. So really exciting day for her. Also, Rico Stand is 920 on the dot. Okay, 80 to go exact. Thank you for that, IHSP. I mean, hey, yeah, 80. I mean, hey, he's right there, y'all. He's right there. I think we should try to get him there before Thanksgiving. That should be. I think that's the challenge. We should get Rico Stand to 1,000 or above by Thanksgiving. That way, he can be thankful for 1,000, right? Amazing. My first Aquashella. I'm still in Dallas till Wednesday, says Freaky Fishland. Yeah, I mean, Dallas was another one I wanted to make. So Dallas especially was one I was thinking about because I actually I got my bachelor's degree in Amarillo, which granted I think that's a 3.5 hour drive roughly away from Dallas, maybe closer to 4. It's been a while obviously since I made that drive. But I mean, yeah, I really want to get to a Aquashella. I might try to hit Chicago if they go there again in 2022. Obviously, I don't think there's any dates announced yet since they just literally got done with Dallas. Who knows? Maybe if I can get to 1K and before the next Aquashella season starts up and see wherever that hits us or gets us, then we'll see where it maybe gets us. But yeah, I definitely want to make an Aquashella sometime here soon because I've heard nothing but great things about him. All sorts of awesome fish folk, just awesome environment. Can't go wrong with it. At least that's what I see on the videos. I mean, the videos just make me jealous of all who make it every time. And there's a couple of YouTubers here in the Council Bluffs, Omaha area that make it too. To those of you that don't know, SC Fish Keeping is a Omaha guy. Another Omaha guy is Blue Dog Aquatics. He's a guy that just went over 1,000 a few months ago here in the Omaha area. Definitely check him out, especially if you like, if you're not just a fish person or if you like reptiles, chameleons, and such. That's another guy, Blue Dog Aquatics. Just cool little channel there that also expands the horizons even past fish. So if you're into that stuff, that would be a great channel for you as well. And I see them doing videos along with others like, James and Ed, along with others out here. I mean, the list is so long, I couldn't even begin to name everybody that, it's crazy about what Aquashella all offers to the fish folk. Definitely on my bucket list. Definitely want to make it there someday. Fish Adventures has joined. Welcome. Lee Gadsby. Did I say that right? I apologize if I didn't. Do you keep your... Man, I wish I could pronounce words. Your Besco? I can't say I do currently. Honestly, Is that like a cichlid of some sort? I might be way off there. I don't want to guess and make a total fool of myself. But no, I don't keep anything of that right now. But hey, I mean, if that's, I might have to remember that type there. That way so I can look it up and maybe check it out there. I'm always down to check out new fish and such. Hey, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Bob Kaler is here. Welcome. Kaler's Aquatics and Exotics. Another awesome channel right there, guys. IHSP's Tank Tribe. SC Fish Keeping Rocks. Yes, he does. Met him one time while at Fish Freaks in Omaha, actually. And, yeah, he's a awesome fella. Has a nice Fahaka puffer himself, actually. Can't remember the name of it for a while. It's been a while, I think, since I've seen him do something about his puffer. I know he's more of a native guy, like with his catfish and such. I think he's got like some types of bass and such as well. So, I mean, if you like some of those big monstrous fish and all that, like I'm pretty sure we all know Ohio Fish Rescue, right? We all should know who they are too. I mean, he's got like some of those guys. Like he's got some red tail cats. I think he has a shovel nose, or maybe had a shovel nose. He has like other like DIY projects that he puts on his channel. SC Fish Keeping is an awesome channel. If you haven't subbed already, give him a look-see. That's another awesome channel. And like I say, he's an Omaha guy, so awesome channel right there, as well as Blue Dog Aquatics, like I mentioned earlier. See, David Foster, I'm out of Omaha. Hey, nice. I see you down here as well. Fish Freaks is my go-to store. Yes, Fish Freaks is I've called it a couple times here on the channel that Fish Freaks is the source of the madness. And for very good reason. It's an awesome staff, very knowledgeable. Even their feeder tanks with the minnows or like feeder guppies, I would trust them fully, because even if something goes wrong, I know at least they're going to do something about it and make sure that, everything turns out well in the end. Oh, Lee Gatsby, red-eyed red-tail puffers. Yes, I do have red-eye puffers, actually. They're up here. I'll take it off my little table here. They're in... There we go. They're in that tank right here. That 20 long right there. I don't want to get too close right now because that's actually one of the tanks where I'm battling some major algae in right now, and it ain't pretty. I'm thinking I might just honestly end up putting the red-eye puffers in like one of my secondary tanks temporarily and just try to totally drain that just to get rid of that algae in general. I mean, I hate to do that because, boy, that's a lot of I feel like that's going way extra than what it should take to kill it. But alas, I'm about out of ideas of how to take out that algae otherwise. Any experience breeding them? Not currently. I can tell you the difference between a male and a female between the markings. The males have more of the clear white bellies, whereas the females have more like those, I don't know if spots are the correct term to use, but like little splotches on their belly and such. I honestly think that this is one of the species of fish where the females actually look kind of cooler than the males, honestly. More markings and such. So that's one way how you can make sure you at least get the male and the female. But currently, no, I haven't had any encounters or experience of breeding them at the time being. But they are, it is probably one of the puffers that would be most, you give yourself the highest probability, since you can actually tell what are the males and what are the females, just like pea puffers, honestly. You can tell which ones are male and female there as well. But that's kind of the challenge in breeding a lot of types of puffers, though, is because you can't tell which one's a male versus a female. So if I ever do get some luck in terms of breeding them, though, Lee, you can definitely believe I'll be putting it here on the channel and letting all y'all know about it. Or really with any of the puffers, if anything of that sort happens again, definitely I'll be letting y'all know. See here. Lumpy Dog in the house, as he says. Love it. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard indeed. See here. See some other. IHSP wants a pool day. I presume you mean like to use as like a pond? Like what? Oh, yeah, like SC fish keeping. Because, yeah, that's back on that conversation. Right. Yeah, I'm hoping to. I'd love to do that myself sometime. I mean, I see like the red tail catfish and all that. I mean, obviously, of all the monster fish out there, that's on the top of my bucket list would be no doubt a Mabu puffer, of course, because I mean, I'm a puffer guy. I want to get my puffers, but well, I also have like 10 species down here right now, so I'm starting to be like, you know what? Maybe we need to pump the brakes on this a little bit. Try to, keep that variety in here because. While I pride myself on having a lot of puffers down here, I also like to have a lot of variety because obviously I know some people out there like other things than puffers. Some of y'all like the rainbows or like the knife fish or even the angelfish. I need to do like videos on some of my angelfish too because if obviously puffers for me are number one, but angelfish are a strong number two. Strong number two. That's why I literally have angelfish in 3 different tanks. Probably the other fish that I have the most species of other than puffers. Atkins Nature Aquarium, are you doing algae maintenance or daily maintenance for the algae? I don't know how is it hair algae? No, it is not hair algae. I'm actually not fully sure what it is entirely, to be honest. I might show it real quick here. I mean, just know it don't look pretty, but yeah, but yeah, I have heard the toothbrush thing with hair algae before. Actually, I've been fortunate not have to deal with that a whole lot. I guess I deal with the hair algae a little bit in one of my knife tanks, but personally, I actually don't really mind it in there too much because it kind of works as like a plant that, takes care of the surface and all that. So it doesn't really, I don't have the hair algae growing really anywhere else in that tank. So as long as it just stays on the, hang on the back filter, I'll let it go. Once it goes on anything else though, then we got a problem. Lee Gatsby again, hoping to breed my red eye puffers. I mean, yeah, hey, if you definitely get success on that too, then hey, post something about it too, because I mean, there's a lot of people I'm sure that would love to know how. But yeah, it's really, as you also just said there, it's really hard to find information on breeding red eyes or really any puffer in general. Because like when my 2 spotted Congo puffers were showing, courting behavior and mating behavior. It was something that I was trying to look up because I still wasn't seeing eggs, but I was seeing the male, like doing the courtship with the female. So it's like, okay, what are some things that they like to lay their eggs on other than substrates? Because sometimes they like to put them in bushy like plants. So I was like, well, then maybe that's a Monte Carlo, or maybe we get just some sort of carpeting plant and help their eggs that way. And yeah, there's just not a whole lot of information to be found on in terms of breeding puffers, unfortunately. I'm always on the lookout, though. If I find info, though, I'll definitely let y'all know. Mrs. Freak, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we got the wife in the stream there. Those of you that don't know, yes, Mrs. Freak is the Mrs. for me. So make sure, if you haven't already, say hi to her. That is the wife. Atkins asks, have I checked the phosphate? Not recently. You know what? That's a good point. I might have to actually do that. I was getting like some things for the focus on the phosphate with like my hang on the back, because that's one of the main things I have in that those 2 tanks there that I have the algae issue. But yeah, I might actually have to look a little deeper onto that. I'm gonna have to test those maybe once I get off here and see where those are at, because that might exactly be it. Do you use RO water for yours? For the red eyes, I don't know. Honestly, for all my freshwater tanks, no, it comes from the tap. Obviously, I condition it before I put it in the tanks because my water here in town is a little alkaline. So I try to. I mean, I don't fight the parameters too much because I guess my ideology is, I want to give them as ideal of a habitat as possible, but at the same time, you don't want to be battling parameters too much, or that's just going to stress the fish out way more so compared to if you just had their parameters be, I don't want to say, not favorable, because no, you definitely want to make sure they're comfortable, but maybe they're just not perfectly ideal, and just, maybe it's a little harder than what they typically like. Maybe it's a little softer than what they like. Maybe a little more acidic or alkaline, as long as it's not crazy off, or, off to a point where they're clearly showing distress, then honestly, I usually let it go. Fishymon is here. Glad to see that as well. Says assistance is better than chasing parameters. Absolutely. That's that. I guess, yeah, that's probably a more simplistic way of saying exactly that. I mean, I would rather, I'm all right with assisting them to, where they can still be comfortable enough for the fish to, do about their business and live all right. But I don't want to chase the perfect parameters too much either, because then you're just, that's just a wild goose chase that probably most likely is going to be very hard to obtain anyway. Lazarus the Fish Boy just joined. Welcome, Laz. Good to see you here as well. Oh, another awesome channel right there, guys. Trying to remember, did I get the? Oh yeah, the RO water. That's right. Yeah, on all my freshwater tanks, I don't. Honestly, even with my one brackish water tank, I just did water from the tap. To be fully honest with you, but from the tap is all I really did. Even for my brackish water tank, I'll have to do a video on like brackish water and all that, because I know I talked a little bit about this last week too. I know that brackish water is still kind of an area where maybe a number of us are still a little iffy on, because it's not quite marine water, but it's also it still has that specific gravity. Thus, it's a little more challenging than fresh water, because you want to try to keep that in check. Honestly, so far it's been way easier than I thought it was going to be. It's been yeah, I guess that's really the best way to put it. It's been way easier than I thought it was going to be. It's not going to be I'll have to get the pep one here in a minute. But yeah, it's been way easier. I'm going to have to make a video on that there too, once I transfer my green spotted puffers from their freshwater tank to their new home, which I'm starting to work on that stand. Maybe I need to do a video about how to build like a DIY stand and such. Although, well, this stand I'm starting to work on right now is for a bow front tank, so maybe not the best one to start with. But it's Laz saying, how's it going? I'm doing all right, Laz. Hope you're doing all right as well over there. It's been a little rainy, a little cloudy here in western Iowa, here in the U.S., but I mean, it's autumn. I guess that's to be expected. We just finished October and went into November now, so it's it's to be expected. It's just kind of that transitioning period. We're accepting the fact that we're not going to have too many 80-degree days anymore, but now we're having more of the 50s and the lower 60s, sometimes even higher 40s. And then before you know it, probably before the end of this month or of November, or before we even hit December, probably going to start seeing those 30s, maybe even those ugly old 20s. But we won't talk about that, because those can be fighting words to some people. Pepin Creek Products, sorry about your loss. R.I.P. Dak. Man, I don't know why I didn't change that in fantasy earlier. I had Mac Jones there too. I honestly didn't hear that Dak wasn't going to play until it was too late. And I don't know how that came to be. Well, that, and I also had Calvin Ridley out there playing. It's just kind of kicking myself over the loss this week, because it's like, could have done better. Definitely could have been better. Granted, Mac Jones didn't tear it up, but 13 points on that fantasy team would have been better than 0. Well, speaking of Peplin, he says it's snowing in Wisconsin. All right. Little fun fact, despite being a Packer fan, I've never set foot in Wisconsin, though. My wife and I are maybe going to try to see if we can hit a Packer game next month in mid-December. I guess I don't want to say for sure that we are. I would love to watch it, just because I feel like, well, obviously with the Packers, I mean, I won't go too much into sports because I know a lot of y'all aren't sports fans, but I don't know how great they're going to be after this season. So hoping to go watch them this year, while they're still winning. I think Ridley is retiring now. That'd be surprising. This week, not allowed here. I presume you're talking about the snow, dearest? Yeah, I'm not ready for snow either. It wouldn't be unheard of, though. We sometimes here in western Iowa, we've had snow sometimes even before Halloween. Fortunately, we haven't had that. Although, actually, I think parts of Nebraska actually just earlier got like 3 to 4 inches, I want to say. Couldn't tell you where, not around where we are. But like right now, nope, we're all grass here so far yet in Iowa. But I believe, parts of western Nebraska even. I think maybe once you start getting closer to Colorado and such, where that elevation starts going up, I want to say that Nebraska's gotten some snow now already. Geek Boy says, supposed to snow in Colorado. I believe it. I'm not going to lie, though. When my wife and I went to Colorado, actually, for our little vacation after the wedding and such, honeymoon, that's what they call it. Was trying to find that term. When we went to Estes Park for a couple days, Denver for one evening and night, and then went to, what was that other place? Colorado Springs for the final 2. Even when we went up to the Rocky Mountain National Park, was kind of surprised. I mean, it was a little chilly up there, but actually it was pretty nice there. Was kind of surprised I didn't even see any snow up there, period. I mean, I guess it was early September, so I guess you're still in the month of summer, but I was beginning to wonder, like, it might be starting to be that point where it gets a little chilly or snowy there. But alas, no snow was to be found. Let's see. Goodness gracious. I was just looking at the live. We've already been live for over an hour. I didn't even know we've been on here that long. Trying to remember if anybody's went live here at the top of the hour. I know my clock's showing that we're about 10 past the hour here. I don't want to step on anybody's toes here. Trying to think if there's maybe any other points that I haven't talked about that maybe we should. I guess if y'all got points maybe that I haven't brought up, feel free to bring those in as well. I'm trying to think of other ones that I maybe have. I guess in terms of, I know we talked about filtration a lot. So I guess one final thing on filtration. I know one question that a lot of newer fish keepers would probably be wondering is like, well, what's the best filtration that I could put in my tank? Well, like I said earlier, I would always recommend, regardless of what else you do, have a sponge filter, because even if your power goes out, sponge filters can be your best friend. It can be a fish room's best friend by far. Holding that thought, Geek Boy saying, yes, Summit's Visitor Center is always a little chilly. I want to say when we went there, I think it was higher 40s, lower 50s when we were up there. We went up there for both days while we were in Estes Park. And I mean, I guess, to be clear, I mean, I don't want to come off the wrong way. My wife would love to move to Colorado. I'll just say it. She would love to move to Colorado. And don't get me wrong, Colorado's a beautiful state, but I would just feel like driving with all the snow there in town. Like if you get in the mountains and such and have to deal with like the snow, I can imagine that could make roads pretty sketchy. Because I mean, at least here in Iowa, if you go off the road, maybe that ditch is a little deep because we do have some bluffs and some hills here. But 100 or 200 feet is a lot different than a few thousand feet. If I go off the road, I'd rather take my chances with, just sliding down a few dozen or even just 100 feet compared to a few thousand feet down. I like my chances of survival a lot more if worst case scenario happens here. But yeah, I mean, that's basically also what I did, Geek Boy. I mean, I just put on a sweater when we were out there. We were good. I just put a sweater on. We walked around, checked out the sightseeing, and even with a little bit of the chill in the air, it was great. Honestly, it was pretty comfortable. Actually, felt like an early spring day. Honestly, it was kind of refreshing. Glitch Aquatics has joined the crew. Welcome, glad to have you. To anyone that's new and maybe hasn't done so already, if you haven't done already, feel free to click that like button as well. Every single one is appreciated. And of course, if you're new and have not done so already, consider clicking the subscribe button to stay in the loop with everything we do. As I said earlier, working on a puffer video right now. Been a little bit delayed on that since, like I say, I've been trying to nurse up one of my spotted Congo puffers to health. He and the female apparently got fighting, and the male apparently took the grunt of the fight. So we'll have to still trying to nurse him back up to health. I think he's still got a ways to go because sometimes he doesn't. He's still picky with his eating right now. He ate a little bit last night, but not what he normally has done back when he was healthy. So signs of improvement, but a little ways to go. But I am working on another video about puffers since we have not one, not two, but now 3 new puffers down here that I've never showed on camera before. So obviously y'all saw the arrowhead puffer in last week's stream, but and if you saw my community post, you'll know the other new puffer that we got when I did that fish store video last Monday, which if you haven't checked that out, definitely check that place out. That place was incredible based on all the details of like where it's located. And yeah, I'll definitely be going back there again. Might have to even do more videos on that again. But yep, there are videos coming, plenty of ideas here. I'm actually thinking of doing like a video that gives like little care tips of all the puffers that I currently keep, maybe including ones that I've kept in the past here as well. But like the hairy puffer, obviously, that I had. Still might talk about Mushu a little bit, just because, they're common puffers that I know a lot of other channels. I know Corey at Aquarium Co-op has talked about them. Steamfot Aquatics has talked about them a couple times. So have to probably at least mention them a little bit. And then, of course, there's always the Maboo. Got to mention those guys. Geek Boys, snow does not stick around for long in the Front Range, in the mountain towns, and even the foothill towns. The snow stays quite a while longer. I believe it. I don't even bother with snow tires. Yeah, it's... that'd be my only worry in Colorado is that, if you're like by the mountainous areas, I can imagine that could get a little sketchy. I definitely would want a vehicle with a 4-wheel drive. Glitch Aquatics. I wish Canada had places where it didn't snow. I'd live there. What part of Canada are you from? Glitch, just curious. I've never been out of... Personally, I myself, another little fun fact about my personal self, I've never been outside the United States, honestly. I grew up in Minnesota, lived in Texas for a while, so I've been pretty close to both the north and the south border a couple times, but I've never crossed either one. Never been to Mexico, never been to Canada. But I might have to at some point. Ottawa. Isn't Ottawa the nation capital, or am I, or wait, or is that Montreal? I think it's Ottawa. I could be wrong, but I can only imagine. Ottawa's still. I know that's a big place. I know that's got to be a great place for. You got to have some pretty awesome fish stores up there. I bet. Oh, I was right. It is the capital. Okay. Say there was that little doubt. It's like I know Vancouver isn't, but I was part of me's like, maybe Montreal. I don't know. Well, actually, Ottawa makes sense because also being a hockey fan, yeah, the Ottawa Senators. It makes sense. Just like here in America, we have the Washington Capitals. 2 hours away from Montreal. Dang, Ottawa and Montreal are that close? Well, I guess maybe in some people's definition, maybe 2 hours isn't close, but I mean, I guess I'm also used to. I mean, I guess Canada is pretty similar to the United States in some ways of like state travel and all that. It's kind of funny because I remember when I was in college and when some like foreign exchange students would come over like like from Europe or Asia or sometimes even some parts of Africa. They come over to the United States and they're used to their countries being way smaller over there. And I mean, once they come over here, it's actually it's kind of, I guess I'm trying to find a word. I don't want to sound rude. It's kind of funny that it feels like, they feel like, everything's so close. Because in Europe, like I say, all the countries are way smaller. They're way more compact. But obviously here in the United States, we're way more spread out. But like, I remember while in Texas, actually, some people were like, hey, we should go visit the Alamo. Oh, and such. It's like, dude, that's like a 6-hour drive from where we are. It's like, isn't it not in Texas? Yeah, but Texas is huge. The United States is huge. It's or like even like another place when I was even at a community college where I got my associates. One wanted to see the Statue of Liberty, and they said, "Would that be done on a weekend?" Sure, if you flew, maybe, but I don't know. I've always found, I guess, like I say, I don't want to say too much because I definitely don't want to make it sound like I'm making fun of anyone. I definitely don't want to come across that way. I don't know. It's just interesting that, over there in Europe, everything is so compact. Like, I have a brother that's stationed in the army over in Germany, actually. And, like, even just hearing a little bit of what it's like over there, even as he said, everything there is way more compact. Everything's more right next to each other. Whereas, here in America, it's way more spread, like Texas or even Iowa. If you ever come here to Iowa and visit our state capital, Des Moines, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. That city could be like 2-3 times smaller if it was like a European city and everything was like put together or more compact. Easily could compact that city 2-3 times smaller. Anyway, I'm not sure how I got on that really. Let's see here. Sandy Birdie has joined us. Welcome. Lived in Ottawa for a while as well. All right. That is kind of confusing, Glitch, huh? Ottawa is the country's capital, but Toronto is the province capital? That's, well, I guess the United States is kind of a little weird themselves on that because, I mean, Washington, D.C. is considered its own area. It's not a part of, they don't consider it a part of any state, really. Or at least I don't think they do. Let's see. Furloughs Aquatics. Welcome. Another awesome channel right there. Glad to see you, man. But I mean, that's kind of a weird one too there. Or that's, yeah, 2 capitals and one. Does that mean you got 2 capitol buildings you can visit there in Ontario? I mean, I guess if you're into that stuff, that could be one thing to look at as a plus, I suppose. Peplin Creek, if you do go to a Packer game, you'll probably drive past my area. Please stop on the way home and get some Angels. Ooh, you're talking my language. If it's not puffers, it's angelfish for me. Speaking of which, there's our big angel right there, Gabriel by the Jungle Val. I'm not gonna lie, I've actually thought about just when I first set up this 240, I was thinking about maybe just even doing. I was even just thinking about maybe just doing Jungle Val in here, like all those plants over there. They're starting to make a comeback, but the fish keep nibbling on all the little leaves, so I don't know how much of a comeback they're gonna make. I guess there's worse things they could do, but for some reason, I mean, they nibble a little bit on the Jungle Val, but it's kind of weird. They kind of leave that one alone. But I don't know. What do y'all think? Should I maybe consider that, putting a little more Jungle Val over there, or keep it as is? What do y'all think? I'll march out of the way here a little bit. Then, I mean, of course, this way you can see all the rainbows. Hey! But, yeah, I never get tired of looking at that 240 and such. It's relaxing to look at. If I had a TV down here, I might never leave. Watch the tank and then watch TV. I'd be set down here. I'm with you, Glitch. I love Jungle Val. Easy plant to grow, and it's a win-win all around. Great, looks good too. Like, especially this tank is 31 inches tall. I mean, Jungle Val grows tall. I mean, that stuff can grow. I mean, so I'm 6'4". I have seen Jungle Val that's taller than me and some public aquariums. That stuff can get crazy tall. So, I mean, if you got yourself a super tall aquarium, Jungle Val would be always my number one recommendation. Just for that reason by itself. That stuff gets crazy. Let's see. But yeah, I'm trying to remember our. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to see. I'm hoping we can make Wisconsin work, but obviously we've had a lot go on this year. I mean, obviously, if the wedding, like I say, wife and I, new job, day jobs and such. I mean, a lot's gonna. Hoping that we can maybe make it work. Obviously, Packers game in December could be a cold one. I feel like, though, if you go to Lambeau and it's a cold one, isn't that like kind of being baptized into the Packer fandom forever? Go to a game where it maybe snows a little bit at Lambeau. I feel like that's just like getting baptized officially, so to speak. $3G, yeah. When it's happy, it grows. It grows like a weed. Yeah, it's. So I guess for comparison's sake, this Jungle Val, when I first put it in this 240, the tallest leaves went up to like the halfway point of the tank, and as you can see, there's like one leaf up there that's now like starting to overlap. There's like some leaves like half of that now is about to reach the top of the tank. It's been in here for about 2.5 months or so. It's nuts how much that stuff grows and how it just can chain along. Eric Furlow, I vote more Jungle Val too, not just because it's beautiful, but it's the only aquatic plant I can keep alive. Yeah, it's that and guppy grass. I guess with hornwort, I guess I can do okay, but I can't. If I ever try to put like a sinker on my hornwort, I don't try to bury it because then, yeah, more times than not, that ends up killing it with me. But if I let my hornwort just float along the surface of the tank, it does well and it grows like wildfire. But if I ever try to sink it down to the bottom, then eventually it starts melting and it doesn't come back. So those are probably my main three: guppy grass, hornwort, and then, I guess Anubias plants are another one. Outside of the moss balls, of course, because, I mean, if you can't keep a moss ball going just fine, well, I guess I don't know what to tell you. But, yeah, those are my main go-tos, I guess. Even with some mosses, I've had some trouble. Let's see. We're at hour 24 right now. We'll do about 5-6 more minutes here. We'll go to about an hour and a half here. We're all having fun here. 16 people watching, 31 likes. People, thank you very much. If you haven't already, like I said a couple times, hit the like button if you haven't already. Every single one is appreciated, and I Love every single one of it. If you haven't done so already and like what you hear in the stream, or maybe you checked out the channel for a bit and haven't done so already, consider clicking the subscribe button, trying to see if maybe we can hit that 1K. I know there's a number of people out here trying to hit that 1K mark, honestly, before the end of 2021 here. And one more time, I want to give a little notification to Rico Stan, who is currently at 920. I'm sure a lot of us know who Rico Stan is. Rico Stan has all sorts of awesome streams. I know he's gone with James and Ed, obviously. Recently had Aquarium Co-op on his, his channel earlier. Does all sorts of awesome live streams. Does some other stuff. I mean, if you haven't done so already, guys, yeah. As Furlow said, Rico Stan is truly the man. And I mean, he's also given a lot of support for me on this channel. I know he's shared my stream a couple times. I think he may have even again here today. I mean, the dude, he is one of the MVPs of the Fish Fam. That man is more than deserving of getting up to 1,000. So if you have not already, subscribe to Rico Stan's channel. Believe me, he's got some awesome content on there. And like I say, we should try to get Rico Stan to 1,000 before Thanksgiving. That way he can make a little video saying, "This Thanksgiving, I'm thankful for 1,000." Probably among other things, I'm sure. But give him one more thing to be thankful for. Glitch Aquatics, Kenny's costume last night was... What did Kenny dress up as? Like I said, I'll have to put a picture on the community tab of what me and my wife dressed up. My wife dressed up as a bat, and for those of you comic book guys out there or anyone that's familiar with them whatsoever, I myself dressed up as Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man, and actually I've dressed up as Doc Ock for a few years now in a row. I finally added lights though to my to the metal arms for Doc Ock, which was kind of interesting. Oh, Kenny went as Rico. Oh, I think I remembered seeing that maybe now on a community tab somewhere. Oh, and Danny was... Okay, yep. I feel like I saw a picture of that somewhere. Maybe it was either the YouTube community tab or Facebook. Maybe one of the other. I know Ed went there as a banana slug, which I also thought was kind of funny. I mean, the whole banana slug. And then he actually met someone dressed as a banana. Classic. I love it. Dressing as Rico Stan, and the other one is Ed. That's awesome. I love it. I mean, both are awesome fish tubers, too. I know, obviously, Chattanooga Ed already over the 1,000 mark. That's another guy that if you haven't subbed to, I mean, yeah, get that. Keep getting that guy subs as well. He and James, the Fish Room Fever, 2 more awesome channels there. I mean, and of course, if you haven't subbed to some of these channels here that we have in the chat, make sure you give them subs as well. These got a lot of awesome folks here. A lot of awesome folks here. Oh, you have to... Oh, they did a live stream of it? I haven't seen that. Glitch, I'll have to see if I can find that there. I'll have to try to find it there. Yeah, that sounds like it's awesome. I could have swore that, yeah, I saw a picture of it somewhere, and I knew one person. I know that, yeah, that so-and-so was dressing at... That Danny was definitely going for the Chattanooga, because I'm like, nailed it. She nailed it. But yeah, I'll have to try to find that stream so I can check that out. Let's see. We're getting close to 6:30, and my battery is getting pretty low on this laptop, and my charger is nowhere near. Serves me right for being unprepared, I guess. I guess with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and jump here for the day. Thank you, everybody, for joining today. Hey, each and every one of y'all are awesome here. Or we've had, I think at one point we had close to 30 people here. Awesome seeing so many, awesome seeing so many recognizable guys here. Although every single one of y'all are appreciated. Seeing so much from Glitch. Furloughs. Obviously all the people that constantly share this stuff and keep returning. Each and every one of y'all are appreciated. Like I said, going to try to have another video out sometime this week here. Hopefully within the next few days. Like I said, I'm going to keep monitoring the health of my male spotted Congo puffer because, well, I don't want him to pass, of course, because that's a very expensive fish. I'm going to keep trying to nurse him to health, but also going to try to get you a video about the 3 new puffer species that we have down here. I know one of them might surprise some of y'all. It's one I never saw anywhere before, and honestly, until I got to the store and looked it up a little bit, didn't even know it existed, really. But gonna have a video on that here, hopefully within the next few days. But until then, of course, y'all already know. Thanks for watching. Like the stream here as you head on out if you have not done so already. I'll see you all in my later videos, guys. Stay fantastic.